Skinny Hardaway, Southern T, back with another EP. My mic ain't working for some reason. Skinny Hardaway, Southern T. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that. Okay, but okay, it took me a minute to get this thing going, but we working now. I had just did this EP, y'all, and I had to cut it off and do it again because didn't no sound come through. But let me go and get into it. Skin Hardaway 7T. I'm here to talk about Canelo Alvarez and Floyd Mayweather. Tank Davis got a fight coming up in which Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather Promotions, Tank Davis Promotions, held a press conference for. He got a fight coming up with Isaac Cruz. In this interview, there was an interview on Floyd Mayweather, and they asked Floyd Mayweather a bunch of questions, but they asked Floyd Mayweather a couple questions in particular, which is what I want to talk about in this EP. They asked Floyd Mayweather how he felt about Canelo Alvarez, his future opponents, and they asked him how he felt about Canelo Alvarez, legacy as a whole. Floyd Mayweather had some choice things to say, some interesting things to say. I asked about Canelo Alvarez. I asked him about Canelo Alvarez's opponents, and he said he feel like that Canelo Alvarez is a good fighter. These are the exact words out of his mouth. He said he feel like Canelo Alvarez is a good fighter, but he feel like that he's ducking good competition, and he even gave a name in particular in David Benavidez. He said he feel like that Canelo Alvarez is ducking David Benavidez, and he also said that he feel like that Canelo Alvarez is still using drugs. I'm going to play the clip for you that Floyd Mayweather had to say about Canelo Alvarez and the steroid thing, so you can get it for yourself. I got this straight, from Boxing Scene, and I'm going to play the clip. Talk about is, but what we don't talk about is, Canelo. Steroids. You don't talk about that. So we don't know. We really don't know all the fighters he beat. And what it could have been not clean in a lot of fights. Don't think he was clean the night he fought. I'm saying I don't know. I don't know. That's y'all. Just Canelo. Oh man, the kid was a cakewalk. Kid easy. So Floyd Mayweather said that he still feels like that Canelo Alvarez is on steroids. He said, "Yeah, I want to praise him for this and praise him for that, but he's not sure if he's still on steroids or not." You know what I mean? He said also in the interview, he said how many guys go up from 154 to cruiserweight. You know what I mean? And he also said that Makabu, the guy that the guy that Canelo Alvarez is set to fight now. He said that Makabu is really not that good. He said Makabu used to be a fighter in the Mayweather gym, just like Canelo Alvarez, Errol Spence, Devin Haney, a bunch of these fighters that you might know. A lot of those guys came up in the Mayweather gym. He said Makabu is one of those guys who came up in the Mayweather gym, and he was getting beat up by guys in the Mayweather gym. You know what I mean? So Canelo, he said that he's not one of the people who's giving Canelo a ton of credit for moving up to cruiserweight to fight this guy, because he know that this guy is not good, because this guy used to be in a gym with Floyd Mayweather himself. And I'm going to read from the article what Floyd Mayweather said about David Benavidez, and so I could read the verbatim exactly what he said about David Benavidez and how he feel about Canelo Alvarez ducking David Benavidez. Floyd Mayweather said when asked about David Benavidez, he said Canelo is a hell of a fighter, but my personal opinion, he's ducking Benavidez, and I'm allowed to speak my mind. That just is what it is. He's going up to cruiserweight, and I'm not knocking him, but he's going up to cruiserweight to fight Makabu. Makabu used to be at the Mayweather boxing gym, and guys in the Mayweather boxing gym were beating up Makabu. He said, so if he's going to quote unquote cruiserweight, I mean, if that's the case, Benavidez can go up to cruiserweight and beat the same guy. He don't even got to go up to cruiserweight. He could beat the same guy at 168. So he's not doing, he's not doing nothing really, like I said before. But when you're put in a certain position, I mean, he's able to be like me when you can position yourself and pick and choose who you want to, because I earned it. He said, but I don't do stuff like this. Absolutely not. We want to see Benavidez. Let's make it happen. So, so Floyd Mayweather basically told Canelo Alvarez that you're going to the cruiserweight to fight a nobody when the people and the fans want you to fight David Benavidez. He feel like that Canelo Alvarez is ducking David Benavidez and he not giving the people what they want. He also feel like Canelo Alvarez is still using steroids. He said we talk about Canelo doing this, Canelo doing that. We praising Canelo, but what we don't talk about is that he popped dirty for steroids and that he still could be using steroids. He said we don't know if Canelo beat these guys fair and square or if Canelo has some help beating these guys. Floyd Mayweather always likes to reiterate, and I'm not mad at him because, as you should, he likes to reiterate that, he's a clean fighter in a clean sport. He's a clean fighter in this sport, never popped dirty once, nothing like that. And he reiterated that in the interview. And I'm gonna give kudos to Floyd because it's true. Floyd Mayweather is 15-0, received a lot of hate, but he never popped dirty. But he never popped dirty. So I'm giving Floyd Mayweather, full credit for that type deal. And I thought it was really interesting what Floyd Mayweather had to say. And I'm glad that Floyd Mayweather, came out and said this because I personally myself don't think that is talked about enough myself. We talk about Canelo achievements and awards, and that's great and everything. But when you bring up Canelo Alvarez's past history, people want to call you, a Canelo hater, or want to say you're a casual, you don't know about boxing, or they simply just go straight to bringing up, the other guys in past history who also popped dirty for steroids type deal. Those guys, have been punished and should be punished too. But the thing is, it seems like that Canelo Alvarez is that. It seems like the rules are being bent for Canelo Alvarez when it comes to rules. Like nobody else got, the levels changed up. Like they changed the level of Compluterol to fit, Canelo's regiment. Whatever that Canelo was doing, they changed it so he could continue to do what he was doing. And I think that's what Floyd Mayweather was alluding to when he said, we don't know if this guy is still clean or not. He's even, or not. You know what I mean? He said, when I was in the sport, I was on the up and up, never been caught cheating, nothing like that. He said, so although Canelo is good, he has major questions in his career. He has major questions to still be answered and to be asked about uh his career type deal. But he said the fact that him moving up to cruiserweight, he said that's not overly impressive to him. He would much rather see him fight David Benavidez in a fight that the fans will want to see. And I'm going to agree with Floyd Mayweather. I'm going to agree with Floyd Mayweather on this. Right when we thought we had Canelo Alvarez back into a corner, he was staring down the barrel. He was staring down the barrel of David Benavidez, Canelo Alvarez, Dimitri Bivol, and Baturviev. It's like we were just. It seemed like that we were just about to get that big 50-50, exciting fight out of Canelo Alvarez, and then boom, he made that move to cruiserweight. You know what I mean? I'm one who tried not to be too hard on him. I'm one who tries not to be too hard on him about going to cruiserweight because he is going to cruiserweight to fight for a belt. But Floyd Mayweather came out and he said he's not impressed with it because he knows Makabu personally. Makabu is one of the guys that used to be at the Floyd Mayweather gym, just like Canelo himself. Canelo, Earl Spence, Tank, a lot of those guys used to be there. So Canelo is familiar with this guy already. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why that Canelo picked him because he's already familiar with this guy. But I just want to tell y'all what Floyd Mayweather had to say about Canelo Alvarez. Floyd Mayweather said that he feels like Canelo Alvarez is ducking David Benavidez, and he feel like that he's still using PEDs. And we praise Canelo, but we don't bring enough attention to his history, and the PED use and all that good stuff. But that's all I got. Skin the heart away, Sudden T. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.